This is the sign of the times because as the year gets closer to an end, the rumor mill grows exponentially, which is why we only do rumors for the last month to 3 months. But all right, so hello, nerds. So we have another episode of the Week in Nerdom for you. We have a giant music section this episode because we have one of my favorite bands has released an album, so we're going to be talking about that album. We have a bunch of other new music to talk about as well as other news in the section and in all of the sections, actually. We have a little bit of everything, not the least of which is the rumor mill, which is kind of a sign of the times. Rumor mill is blowing up, so that's kind of evidence that we're coming towards the end of the year because all of the other stuff is going to start slowing down. All of that being said, we've got so much show to get to. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up to let the algorithm gods know that you like what is going on here and that other people will as well. All of that being said, we have an intro to hit and then some news to talk about. Housekeeping, you want below? All right, let's get into this. So today's episode, housekeeping, doing the push once again, continuing with the push for as long as it takes for us to meet our goal. That goal being, we're trying to get over 1,000 followers or subscribers to at least 2, if not 3 different social media outlets because some places count YouTube as social media and some places don't. So we're trying to get the YouTube that high, obviously, but we're also trying to get other socials that high as well so that we can get better interviews and do much more of the cool things because we will be taken more seriously if there's more of you nerds around to hear what is going on. So, that being said, if you have not taken the time already, find me on the social medias. Generally Nerdy is going to be the name, some variation thereof. Twitter is generally _nerdy, whereas everything else I'm pretty sure is all one word. Except for the Twitch, which might actually be going a different direction for streaming than Twitch, but that won't be official until January. We're still doing the research and figuring out where we should go if we do go off of Twitch. So, all of that being said, thank you very much, nerds, for joining me for another episode. We are going to get to shoutouts in just a moment, but we still have some other housekeeping to take care of in the meantime. That other housekeeping is Denver Comic-Con, now considered Fan Expo Denver. Just happened this past weekend, so be on the lookout for another How to Comic-Con episode because I did go for a day, so that, kind of changed the dynamics of the video. I was trying to get a couple of things done. I don't know, I haven't even started the edit on that yet, so I don't know how successful I was on getting those couple of things done. So either way, there is going to be something from Denver Comic-Con on the channel in the following week or so. All of that being said, all right, we're into the shoutouts. So this honestly is a little bit more diverse than the previous weeks. We have been quite significantly TikTok heavy. This week, not so much, but we do still have a few new follows. I did figure out a way to check Facebook follows. So if you have not yet checked that out, then you can go do that. I do share a little bit more on the Facebook page. There is a Facebook group as well. Generally Nerdy, the group. So go follow, go join, do all of the things. So we're going to start there. These are all going to be Indian names. I don't know why. I swear to God, I'm not buying subscribers or followers or whatever, but we do have Facebook to cover. First is John Yuri Junio, Jeremy Wood, Shivam Singh, Rajputi Geet, Pintu Jaatav, Piantu Jaatav, Chintamani and Pulok Das all follow on the Facebook. Welcome, nerds. Thank you very, very much. We are next going to check out the Twitter. We have a couple of interesting follows over on Twitter. We have hashtag Team C's. I don't know why they put a hashtag in their name, but they did. So I don't know how you're going to, whatever, at them. And then we have Sharonda. Thank you very much, nerds, for following me there. We do have one new TikTok follower, and that new TikTok is PurityMike36. And then over on Instagram, we're looking at Landfill10, alistairkozuch. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm sure I did. And SalPuma413, all new nerds following on the social medias. Thank you very much, nerds, for the follow. That is what we have for the shoutouts and housekeeping. Let's jump into the news. Kicking off our music news section, we do have a follow-up. So we reported on this a little while ago, and we haven't really heard much about it since. Honestly, this was probably over a year ago that Kiss announced that they're going to have a Las Vegas residency once they're done with their final tour. Well, tickets for that residency went on sale, and it would seem that they are a lot less popular than they want to be. So the residency has been canceled. The initial news report on this did say that it was because of, quote, soft ticket sales, though that was later revised to something else. But really, you gotta know what that is, right? That is 100% because of soft ticket sales. But I don't know, maybe that's just my bias showing through, but that is where that stands. If you're planning on seeing Kiss in Vegas, so sorry, Charlie. I don't know what to tell you. But that is all we have for follow-ups. We don't have any corrections, so let's get into new music. If you have been following on the social medias, then you already know this happened. Or if you are just generally one that follows the music, you probably know this already happened. But if you are neither of those two things, then you are going to learn this for the first time right now, and that is Limp Bizkit has put out a new record. They announced, this is kind of a follow-up because we talked about this a few weeks ago, that Fred Durst said that the new record is coming very soon, but he didn't have a specific date. Well, on Friday, they announced that they were going to be releasing the record on Halloween, which was Sunday. So, new Limp Bizkit record. I did say be ready for a full album review. We are going to cover that right now, actually. So, it's going to be, I'm not going to do, again, the reviews are kind of going through a little bit of a revamp, so things are a little bit different for the review structure these days. That being said, Limp Bizkit's new record, Limp Bizkit Still Sucks, is going to be a huge record. This record is easily the best proper album that they have done since Wes Borland has rejoined the band. I would put this right up near the Significant Other area of things. If you are curious as to my top 3 Limp Bizkit records, then you can jump over to the Clips channel and see I did a quick and nerdy video about the top 3 Limp Bizkit records. I try to stay pretty objective with those things, though it is obviously colored by opinion. The biggest difference between that video and my opinion is I would honestly put Significant Other at number 3 and not Hot Dog Flavored Water, but you know, that's just me. Anyway. So this record is what I wanted Gold Cobra to be. This record is what I expected Results May Vary to be. This record is where they should have left off over 15 years ago. Then the Unquestionable Truth Part 1 record comes out, and that marks a different path, a different sound for Limp Bizkit going forward. That's what I thought the trajectory for this band was going to be. That is not exactly what happened by any means. This new record takes the elements that kind of worked from the Gold Cobra record and makes them really work. There are some really interesting choices as far as the structure, overall structure of the album. It is only approximately 33 minutes and change, I believe, in total in length. So very short songs. Matter of fact, there isn't a single song on this record where there is over 3.5 minutes of actual music. There is one track that runs over 4 minutes long, but that's because there is a skit as part of that track. The actual music on that track is less than 2 minutes, roughly. So yeah, very interesting structure choices, especially when you consider that Wes Borland, before this record dropped, Wes Borland made mention in an interview that they had recorded instrumentals for over 30 different tracks, and this is what they went with. So that was kind of one of the things that kind of brings this back overall for me. But again, this takes anything that you liked off of that Gold Cobra record and makes it work 100%. There are other elements beyond that, obviously, because that record was very limited in scope. And this record, even though it's only 33 minutes and change, has a much broader feel, and that, I think, is one of the things that we really appreciate about this band, is that they do not let themselves get pigeonholed, even though they are considered to be the godfathers of the nu metal genre. They still like to stretch their legs. Fred, like I called when we were talking about the Dad Vibes song when it first launched, Fred definitely has those moments where it is a straight up hip hop song. Standout song on the record like Turn It Up or Love the Hate, those tracks are just straight up a hip hop track. But then you have the opener, which is Out of Style, which is what you would expect out of modern Limp Bizkit. There are elements that harken back to the early days of Limp Bizkit. There's very, very little that really reminds us of that Unquestionable Truth Part 1 record, but by and large, this is exactly down that same niche that they carved out with Significant Other. This goes right up that same alley. So Significant Other, Chocolate Starfish, Gold Cobra, and this album are all sitting together down that niche. And I would say, honestly, personal opinion, Significant Other is leading the pack, though it seems that the popular opinion is that the leader of that pack is the Chocolate Starfish record. This record, though, is contention between those two. This is absolutely going to be one of their records that goes down as one of the best, because it's everything you want out of Limp Bizkit, and they're adding new elements. Even now that they are kind of the punchline to the joke at this point, they're in on the joke, and they're giving you new material. They're giving you new sounds that you've never heard Limp Bizkit make before. And again, we have another, so the Love the Hate track is one of the ones where we get something different. We get a little bit more of Fred stretching those lyrical abilities. We get some very interesting rhyme back and forth, a lot more spoken style, a little less rhythmic style. But then we also have tracks like You Bring Out the Worst in Me, which gives us a new vocal delivery from Fred. So we have, traditionally, Fred does 3 different kinds of things. He does the scream, one style of scream. He does the hip-hop kind of rhythmic delivery, and then he has his melodic delivery. And that's, by and large, what he has done since Significant Other. Well, and he played with a different style scream on the Unquestionable Truth record, but again, we can't lean too hard on that record as far as indications for future sound, because that was by and large a one-off kind of experience. So this one, we have those 3 elements of Fred's voice that we have come to expect. And then he's adding a more raw, emotive kind of scream. I'm not going to call it an emo scream because it's not coming out of his nose and he's actually using his diaphragm to make it. But the EQ on this style of vocal in this track, there's one other track on the record that escapes me right now as far as the name, but this track, and then again, one other track, he's trying out this new sound with his vocal. Different EQ, different delivery, different performance, different emotion behind it. So very interesting that even at this latter stage in their career, they are still playing with that sonic landscape. You can't go wrong, speaking of sonics, with Wes Borland's guitar work. Oh my lord. There's a reason why this man is the reason why people give any sort of credibility. Even when Limp Bizkit was at their lowest, with Wes, he is the reason this band has had credibility for so long. The rest of the band, though, are definitely still unsung heroes of this. Wes isn't carrying the whole thing on his back with Fred just talking about it. We have Sam Rivers, who is the reason I picked up a bass, and also has won many, many awards for his bass playing. And he definitely shows why he holds his own against Wes on this, on this record. And then behind the kit, we have John Otto. And when nu metal was at its peak, I would say John Otto was probably the second best drummer in the subgenre. The first best being David Silveria from Korn. David has fallen really far from that. So now easily, without question, John Otto is the best drummer in this genre and shows it on this record. Definitely holding down. But the atmospherics, I think, is another thing that goes kind of unnoticed for Limp Bizkit, even though that is one of the key elements of them, and that is DJ Lethal. And DJ Lethal and John Otto apparently have worked out whatever issues that they had previously and are both back in the band at the same time, long enough to put out a record, so that is also fantastic news. So, recommendation. Would I recommend this album? Yes, I 100% would, and not just because I am a Limp Bizkit fan, but because this is legitimately, the first half of this album is what you would expect out of a modern Limp Bizkit. The second half of this album is modern Limp Bizkit taking those expectations and tweaking them a little bit, because we have an acoustic track. Again, those different vocals. We have just so much is going on musically that anyone should listen to this and create an opinion, because it is a record that deserves your opinion, good or bad. So my letter grade for this album, just to give some sort of weight to this letter grade, in the world of Limp Bizkit, by and large, if you are talking about performance-wise, if you are talking about the quality of the music as far as the genre of metal is concerned, or nu metal even, then probably your vote for the best album is going to go to either $3 Bill or Unquestionable Truth Part 1, because those two records are damn near flawless. So that would be an A+. So anything beyond that, anything lower than that, obviously we have to grade on a curve. So if that is the gold standard Limp Bizkit, that being the A+, then we are sitting right about a B+ with this record, which honestly, they don't have a whole lot else above a B+. And I am a huge Limp Bizkit fan, so that is where we're sitting with that. We have other new music to take care of, though. Our first reaction for the episode has to do with Nonpoint, a band I never thought I'd talk about again, but they did something that brought them back into the conversation, and that is they covered When Doves Cry, the Prince song from forever ago. So let's get into this real quick. The guys in Nonpoint working on relevancy, working on adjusting to a different soundscape than when they were kind of relevant back in the early aughts, and this is a different world and different expectations for the ability of the musicians. This cover song is interesting. There are definitely some cool choices that were made, especially considering the vocal delivery and production on the vocals. But as far as the overall feel, generally speaking about this track, skip it. If you like When Doves Cry, this song will not do anything good for you. If you're not a huge Prince fan and you kind of are into the nu metal, you might dig this track, but by and large, it's not worth your time. There is one interesting additional bridge towards the end of the song that kind of gets into a different kind of heavy tone that you would expect from a nu metal band, but really, by and large, this song is not worth your time. So yeah, it's production-wise, we have some serious rock bass syndrome. Performance-wise, that compounds the issue innumerably. The rock bass syndrome is just all over this place, so there's really not a whole lot going on the bottom end. The only thing that is kind of redeeming about this is the vocalist, and actually the lead guitar player has a couple of moments of, okay, maybe, nope. So yeah, that is our first impressions for the Nonpoint cover of Prince's When Doves Cry. Honestly, go listen to Leo Maracchioli do some cover songs. I think he does When Doves Cry, and I'm pretty sure it's a million times better than this. So if you're looking for a metal cover of this song, then that's the way to go. Our next first impression is the new Gojira track. The name of the song is Sphinx. It is from their newest record that came out earlier this year, Fortitude. Same record that the last track we reacted to and did first impressions for came from. So this new Sphinx track from Gojira has the trademark Gojira sound. If you were a big fan of the From Mars to Sirius record, then this new album is right where you want it to be. Now, if you are looking for some expansion as far as these guys as musicians, I don't think that is happening, as much as I hate to say that, because Gojira is amazing. So even them being lazy and resting on their laurels is better than most. So this is definitely a track that is worth checking out. I really, really dug the production on this. There is a bottom end on this, though we have some more rock bass syndrome going on here, just because the general play style of their bass player is rock bass syndrome. He is just playing the root note, by and large, of what the guitars are playing. He is the bottom end, which, again, not necessarily anything inherently wrong with that, especially if you've seen these guys live, then you know that he puts on one hell of a show. The whole band, not just the bass player, but the whole band puts on a ridiculously awesome show. So you can forgive the rock bass syndrome because of those reasons. So all of that being said, Sphinx is definitely a track to check out. If you are a Gojira fan, this will keep you as such. If you've never listened to Gojira, this is definitely a good representation of what the rest of their catalog sounds like, and it is worth a listen. So that is what we have for new music, first impressions, and whatnot. We now move into tours. So the first tour that we're talking about, Machine Head and Amon Amarth have announced that they're going on tour together in Europe. Their support will be a new band called The Halo Effect, which has a couple of older members from In Flames in it. So that's pretty freaking noteworthy, especially on the European circuit, because In Flames is gigantic out in Europe, as well they should be here in the States, but you know, it is what it is. So that is the openers. The name of the tour is Vikings and Lionhearts. If you want to buy tickets and you are in the European Union somewhere, there is a link down in the description you can follow. The tour starts September 8th of 2022, and it runs through October 22nd of 2022. September 8th starts in Nottingham Arena in the United Kingdom, and then the 22nd of October is in Stuttgart, Denmark. All right, so our next tour is Dream Theater, which they've announced the supporting act as Devin Townsend. I love Devin. This is also a European tour, starting out April 20th in Belfast, Ireland, running through May 16th in Stockholm, Sweden. Once again, link down in the description if you want tickets. And then we have a very, very tiny tour has been announced. The band Sleep has announced they're going to be doing 3 shows right around 420. Go figure. 2 of those 3 shows will be in Colorado. One in Denver, one in Colorado Springs. The third show is going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They are going to be April 18th, 19th, and 20th. The 20th is the New Mexico show. Just check out their website. There is no other tour dates announced for Sleep, as the members of the band are busy working on their primary projects, as Sleep has become a secondary for the 3 of them. So that being said, we do have one piece of actual news. Wow, I almost closed this out without doing the thing. So we have one piece of actual news, and this piece of news comes from the band Superjoint, formerly Superjoint Ritual. This is one of the many side projects for Phil Anselmo. They have announced that they are no more, once again. So the supergroup of Superjoint Ritual, because all of these band members are in other bands as well, other more established bands, one could argue. So Superjoint has announced this week that they will not be making any new music. They did finish a record about a year and a half ago and toured on it as much as they could through the COOF, but as it stands right now, they are no longer a thing, which kind of sucks because that was my introduction to Hank Williams III. If you know Hank 3, then you know that that was a pretty significant introduction into my musical vocabulary. So, kind of bittersweet because I know that means we're going to be getting a lot more music from their other bands, and their other bands are also great, but I really dug Superjoint, so it is what it is. All of that being said, that is the music section today, nerds. Gaming and tech now. Let's jump into, first up, we do have two follow-ups actually, I apologize. First follow-up is it has been officially announced that Resident Evil 8, The Village, is going to have free DLC. Capcom has said in 2022 we will see some free DLC for the game. They haven't said what or exactly when, but they did say it's coming, so be on the lookout. We will cover it as it is announced. Our other follow-up for this section is the Netflix gaming experiment is rolling out to everyone across the world on the mobile Netflix platform. If you have Netflix on your phone and that phone is powered by Android, then you will be getting the option to play Netflix Mobile. It's only starting with 5 different games. Those 5 games will be available on iOS devices later in 2022. Again, a specific date has not been given, but they are busy at work trying to get that rolling out for iOS users. That is all we have for follow-ups. We have no trailers to speak of, so we're jumping right into news. So I don't have a single new news piece that deals with gaming and tech today, so it's going to all be tech. Our first tech piece of news has to do with Fender. The guitar manufacturing company is buying out PreSonus. So PreSonus, for those of you in the audio business, actually streamers, you probably know this name as well because they make some pretty great preamps that connect to computer through USB. So you can connect any XLR microphone to your computer through PreSonus. Not my personal preference when it comes to preamps, but again, nothing wrong with PreSonus. Fender is going to be buying this company, has already begun the process of purchasing them because they are trying to create a front to back complete user experience when it comes to creating sound with an instrument. So presumably things are not necessarily going to change too much when it comes to what PreSonus puts out, but they are going to start to lean a little bit more on the music side of things, it would seem, with this new purchase. So, and from there, we must talk ever so briefly. Well, I would like this to be brief, but Lord knows it won't be. So we have to talk about Meta, formerly Facebook, and we've already made the announcement that the news part is not that they've changed their name from Facebook to Meta. The news piece for this is that they will be scaling back some of the less desirable announcements that they have made leading up to some new VR headsets. What am I talking about? So a number of things have kind of changed with this whole rebranding thing as well, but we'll get to that in a moment. The big thing here is that when they announced the going forward with the Oculus line, which is their line of VR headsets, they did say that it was going to be required that you have a Facebook account. Now that would be referred to as a Meta account. Even though the app is going to remain labeled Facebook, the Meta account is going to be across apps. It's going to be inside of their environment. It will work for all of the apps, presumably. So, they announced that you were going to have to log in to your account in order to use their VR headsets. Well, they have since rolled that back, along with all of the name changes and all of the other things, all of the smoke and mirrors, so that we don't want to look behind the curtain kind of stuff that's going on right now. So that is actually kind of a silver linings for what is going on with Facebook these days, Meta, I should say. The other side of this is that they're not going to be calling their VR headsets after the Oculus 2? Oculus 2? whatever, the last VR headset that they put out with the Oculus name, that is going to be the last VR headset with the words Oculus attached to it. They're going to be retiring the Oculus brand and rebranding VR with something else that has yet to be announced. It could just be the meta name. They're going to be doubling down on this. We're really not the bad guys, even though we kind of look like the bad guys stuff. But as things become less muddy, we'll talk about it. Right now, we're just going to move right along. So our next piece has to do with some more gear for those of you that are out there doing the YouTubes and you are looking to up your game. Some new gear has been announced, that has actually rolled out, and that new gear is the Panasonic GH5 II, which this is the first time that they're doing a Mark II for any of their main line cameras. So that's pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. We announced when this was made known to the press, we covered that then, so this is not exactly something that was unexpected, but we now have all of the specs and we know how it functions. It is still a micro four thirds sensor, so that hasn't changed. By and large, everything else has kind of made a little bit of a step up. The processor is more powerful, which means you can get better autofocus. It's still kind of garbage autofocus, but it's not burning garbage autofocus now. It's just a dumpster, not a dumpster fire. So autofocus is still the contrast detection. We have better performance as far as frame rates go when you're doing video. You have a bit more of depth on the bit depth. It went from 8 bits to 10 bits when you're doing the high bit rate recording, like a lot of documentary filmmakers like to do. So it sounds like it is going to be a worthy upgrade if you're still working on a GH4. If you have the original GH5, probably a good upgrade. The GH5S, if that's the camera that you're working on, that's a kind of a iffy proposal, especially considering that the GH5 or the GH6 rather is going to be launching later in 2022 within the next 6 to 8 months, I believe. So that might be something. If you're working a GH5S, you might want to wait a little bit. If you're working anything else and you really like that micro four thirds environment, then absolutely go for the GH5 Mark II. Otherwise, probably wait for the GH6 or the next full-frame Panasonic cameras because those are the same performance, just with a better sensor. So, all of that being said, that is what we have for gaming and tech today, nerds. We only have one announcement in news for comic books and books, and that is that Angel is getting a new series over at Boom Studios, which probably should have been expected because they have the Buffy rights and they rebooted Buffy, so why wouldn't they reboot Angel? This one seems a little bit more dramatically different because they're kind of completely changing the character. It does still revolve around Angel and Cordelia. This time though, Angel can go out in the daylight, which is very strange. And he's a TV star rather. So he and Cordelia are part of a TV show during the day and then they fight demons at night. So very interesting. I'll probably check out the first couple of issues just to see how bonkers it is. And if it's not too hard to get into, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, it was nice knowing you, Angel. That's all we got in comics and books though, nerds. Let's talk TV streaming. So we have one follow-up, and that has to do with the Primal animated series. Primal Season 2, we just got one step closer. Genndy Tartakovsky has made it known that they have finished the storyboarding phase. They are well into work on the actual animation for the episodes. So very soon, we should be seeing Season 2 of Primal, but it is probably going to take a little bit longer than maybe we were hoping because he is also still overseeing his other project, that other project being Unicorn Warriors Eternal. That project is still, I believe, in the storyboarding phase, so we are still early-ish in the production on that one. All that being said, we can't wait to get our hands on more of that Genndy Tartakovsky because he is fantastic, and Samurai Jack kind of proves that beyond all doubt. So, That's what we've got for follow-ups. Let's move right into news. Actually, we don't have any proper news. We only have a couple of trailers to talk about. So the first trailer is obviously it's not He-Man. It's Masters of the Universe Revelation. They specifically left He-Man's name off of the title of this series. This part 2, the official trailer for part 2 has launched. This looks like they could be... This might be why Kevin Smith said the things that he said, assuming that they're not lying too much in the trailer, because it is a trailer's job to lie to us, to get us to go sit down and watch a thing. And the last trailer kind of pissed us off a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. This trailer shows a little bit more promise, but also has the potential of only showing us content from the first 2 episodes or so, and then after those 2 episodes, they might as well kill off Adam again and continue on with the Tila story because, yeah, sorceress and blah, 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 blah. So, very trepidatiously, kind of anticipating this second half of the season. If things go south quickly, then I probably won't be finishing it, but I'm gonna pass this off to you nerds. What do you think about the trailer? Are you still hopeful, or were you burned a little too hard with part 1 of this new Masters of the Universe series? Let's talk about that on the socials or in the comments or whatever. So, moving right along, next we are talking about the trailer for the Book of Boba Fett. This one is doing its job and doing it well, doing it and doing it and doing it well. So Book of Boba Fett, I've watched the trailer a number of times at this point and super stoked. I've seen all of the breakdowns that you've probably watched about it too. If you haven't seen the trailer, you can find the link down in the show notes. But man, I just don't understand how there is such a separation from the current state of the Star Wars movies and the current state of the Star Wars canon serialized entertainment. So the animated series and the live action series just... it's like they're not even the same thing. So it's just blowing my mind a little bit. Anyway, definitely worth a look. Go watch it. Go watch the series when it launches December 29th. All of that being said, that's what we have for TV streaming. All right, next section is movies. We do have another follow-up. Today is the episode of follow-ups, apparently, but we do have another follow-up in the movie section. It is Hocus Pocus 2 has announced the remaining cast. I mean, they all have some sort of noteworthiness, but the big one in here is Doug Jones. So there is a couple of interesting things going on with the announcement that Doug Jones is going to be in this movie. I have not seen character listings for who the new cast members are supposed to be playing. So if you know, then you know that Doug Jones was the one that played Billy, what was his name? Billy Butcherson. He played Billy Butcherson in the first movie. Billy Butcherson was the boyfriend of the lead sister, and yeah, hilarity ensued. So the fact that they're announcing that Doug Jones is in this movie has a lot of people rightfully thinking that we're going to be seeing another cameo from the likes of Billy Butcherson. But the fact that they haven't announced the character that he's playing has me thinking there is that possibility that he's going to be playing some other monster character, because Doug Jones notoriously usually plays really awesome character. He was the fish man in, honestly, he was the fish man in the fish bonin movie. I can't remember the name of it, I apologize. He was also the fish man in the first, in the original 2 Hellboy movies from Guillermo del Toro. He's Saru on Star Trek Discovery. Doug Jones is everywhere. Doug Jones is fantastic. He and Guillermo del Toro work all the time. He was also the Slender Man with the eyeballs in his hands for the Pan's Labyrinth. So yeah, Doug Jones is all over the place. Always plays well, not always. Usually plays really awesome monsters. So again, the fact that they're not saying what character he's playing has me thinking maybe we're going to see some monsters in this movie. That could be awesome. But we don't know, so we're going to move on. Our first piece of trailer news, we finally got the first trailer for Morbius, and it's been dissected ad nauseum at this point already, even though it just dropped this morning as I am filming this. It is worth a watch. It's definitely, and it should be noted too, if you saw the quote-unquote leaked version of this trailer, the actual released version of this trailer looks like it is like the final draft, whereas the leaked version looked like it was a rough draft, because there are definitely some different things that they show you in the final version that were not in the leaked, quote-unquote leaked version. So if you did see that leaked version on Twitter or whatever platform you might have caught it on, then you should still go check this one out, because there is more to it than what you saw there. That being said, our other trailer for this episode is they finally launched the Uncharted trailer as well. Apparently this came out last week and I just missed it for last week's episode, so you've probably already seen it. If you haven't, it's worth a watch. I like Tom Holland as an action star. I think he is great as an action movie star. He does The Thing very well, and I can't wait for the rest of this kid's career. Anyway, go watch the Uncharted trailer. It is worth your time. Now let's get into actual news. Our first one is a new animated movie has been announced for the Garfield franchise. This time, sadly, Bill Murray will not be voicing the titular orange cat. Instead, they have enlisted Chris Pratt to be the voice of Garfield. Very strange. Chris Pratt is going from Mario to Garfield, and we still have these original voice actors. Why are we putting giant faces behind these voices? It's just gonna sound like I love Chris Pratt. I said this when we talked about the Mario movie. I love Chris Pratt. I think he's great. I think he's a decent actor, but as a general statement, I think he's a pretty cool guy from what I can gauge from his public persona, from the way he presents and conducts himself around others. I think Chris Pratt is good, but there's a whole subculture of acting that is specifically voice actors. Why are we ignoring them? The IP is what people are going to see. This has been stated on any number of other YouTube channels, or anywhere really that produces content in the same fashion. That Arnold Schwarzenegger, or maybe it was Sylvester Stallone, one of those two guys, said a few years back that you're no longer going to the movie to see the star of the movie. You're going to the movie, and Anthony Mackie said it again a couple years ago at Comic-Con. You're going to the movie to see the IP. The star is kind of irrelevant. I mean, obviously, if they're a horrible actor, then that's relevant, but if you're going to see Falcon, the Anthony Mackie play the Falcon, then you're part of the very small minority. If you're going to see the Falcon, who happens to be played by Anthony Mackie, then that's kind of the majority of people. So the idea behind these studios getting these big faces to do a voice is counterproductive. This just feels like bad business to me, because you have, like I said, you have all of these voice actors. The original Garfield animated series, the voice actor for that show that played Garfield is still alive and still working. So why are we not bringing him in? We've had this same discussion before when Mario came out, so I will leave it there. But it's good on Chris Pratt, I guess, but still, I wish it was somebody else. All right, so our next piece of news. We shall flow a river forth to thee, for thee, my lord, for thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be. I can't remember the rest of it, but if you know the rest of that little prayer, that then ends in nomine patri et filii et spiritus sancti, blam blam, then you are pretty excited about this next piece of news, because Boondock Saints is getting a third movie. All right, so original director and producer and writer, Troy Duffy and Sean Patrick Flanery and Norman Reedus are all returning. So Troy Duffy, the original director, writer, producer of the first movie and the second movie, is coming back. He is co-writing this script with Sean Patrick Flanery, which is an interesting choice. Sean Patrick Flanery is not a bad actor. As a writer, though, I'm very interested to see where that one goes. So they're actually early on the pre-production right now, and they're going to be rolling into actual production come May of 2022, when Sean Patrick Flanery is done with his work on The Boys series and Norman Reedus has finished up The Walking Dead. That's when they're going in to do Boondock Saints 3. I'm honestly pretty freaking stoked. Yeah, let's move on. And now we enter the rumor mill section. This is the sign of the times because as the year gets closer to an end, the rumor mill grows exponentially, which is why we only do rumors for the last month to 3 months. But all right, so we have a pretty full rumor mill. We actually have a number of rumors that are all going to be broken into different likelihoods because I feel like a lot of this stuff is being reported where people are joining rumors together, like rumors together. So to start things off here, we're talking about MODOK. MODOK recently has been rumored to be a number of things. The first of which is being played by Jim Carrey. MODOK reportedly is going to be played by Jim Carrey, is also going to first appear in the She-Hulk series, and then after that will be appearing in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we have to break this one into 3 different likelihoods because these are 3 different, pretty vastly different things. So first, MODOK being played by Jim Carrey. We do know Jim Carrey has signed a contract recently with Marvel. I mean, I guess that's technically rumor based on rumor because we haven't been able to confirm that that is actually what happened. But there's so many people talking about it. I would be very surprised if that wasn't the case. But that does limit how high we can go with that rumor. So 40% likely that Jim Carrey is going to be playing MODOK. I feel like that's a very strange casting for him, but at this point in Carrey's career, strange is really all he gets. So I don't know. Our next percentage that we're giving this is for the appearance in the She-Hulk series. MODOK, not being a huge reader of either MODOK or She-Hulk, I can't say why this is a rumor because they seem pretty disparate to me. Those 2 IPs in the Marvel Universe are very separate as far as I can remember from any of my comic book readings. So that seems super unlikely, especially considering we have the MODOK animated series, so maybe people are slightly more familiar with that character these days, but still, She-Hulk just sounds off. We're going to give that one a 25% likelihood. And then the last portion of this rumor, or the last rumor dealing with MODOK, I guess is more appropriate, is that he's going to be appearing. It does not say to what extent, so that kind of lends well for this rumor, but he's going to be appearing in the new Quantumania movie with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So because it does not say he's going to play any sort of specific role in the telling of the story in Quantumania, that, again, lends me to think, well, there is a possibility we could just get a cameo of MODOK. We could see MODOK in a post-credit stinger. Something along those lines really is kind of anything is possible with those things. So that definitely lends well to this rumor. So we're putting this one at 65% likelihood. Our next rumor is actually just a singular rumor, kind of. We will touch on the subject of this rumor again in this section, but Nova has a rumor very specifically about it, and that is that John Boyega is going to be playing Nova in the still rumored Nova movie. So because this is rumor based on rumor, we can only give this so high, though I am going to adjust that expectation ever so slightly because of a number of things. First of all, social climate in which we live. Second of all, Disney probably wants to make up to John Boyega for the way they treated him with the whole China issue with Star Wars. So we're going to bump this one, even though we shouldn't. We're going to bump this one up to 60% instead of 50% because we kind of have to take those extra things into consideration, and it does make it that much more likely to be true. So then we're moving into Marvel 2023. So 2023, according to an industry quote-unquote insider, is going to be a pretty big year for Marvel. Big because we have a number of huge movies going into production, again, according to this rumor. Those movies are Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Nova, Okoye, and Shang-Chi 2. So, Thunderbolts, we're going to break these down individually to those IPs will each get their percentage of likelihood. Thunderbolts is rumor based on rumor. We don't know that a Thunderbolts movie is going to happen. There's a bunch of rumors that say it's going to happen, but we have no verification of that, so we can only go so high. Then we still have 23 is only a year and a half away, not even a year and a half away. So we have a full slate until then. So that seems a little early if we do get a Thunderbolts movie. All of that is very much working against this rumor. We're looking at probably about a 20% likelihood that Thunderbolts will go into production in 2023. The next movie being Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four we know is coming. It's kind of already been slated and moved and then taken off and put back and so on and so forth. So 2023, I think that's a reasonable time, though now we're getting into the quality of the source. The source is not the best source I've ever used, so about a 50% likelihood that we will be getting Fantastic Four going into production in 2023. Next is Nova. Nova for multiple reasons, rumor based on rumor and so on and so forth. We're looking at a 30% likelihood that Nova is going to be going into production. And then our final movie is Shang-Chi 2. This one, they're probably in pre-production for Shang-Chi 2 already. So yeah, that makes a bit more sense. We're going 70% likelihood that will be into production for 2023. Our next rumor is a follow-up rumor that has to do with the WB Multiverses video game. I don't think I actually dropped the potential name for the game last time we talked about this because I was just chomping at the bit to shoot down the NetherRealm angle of this. So if I remember correctly, we gave the likelihood that Warner Brothers is going to be creating a Smash Brothers-like game with their IPs. About a 70% likelihood, because that seems pretty freaking likely. Well, now we have this. For those that don't know, or they're listening and not watching, right now on the screen there is a screenshot, it would seem, from such a game. So that increases the probability of this ever so slightly because it was already pretty high. Though you must take note that this art style does not resemble anything NetherRealm has ever done, so this is not a NetherRealm game, so I was right with that part of it. Also, for those of you that can't see it, I mean, if you want to go look on the YouTube, then you'll see it, but in this screenshot, it appears to be a character select screen, and on that character select screen, we have the following characters: Steven Universe, Batman, Harley Quinn, Finn from Adventure Time, Jake from Adventure Time, Shaggy, Superman, Wonder Woman, Gandalf the Grey, and Rick Sanchez, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, and then some sort of original character on there as well. So kind of looks like the art style from the newest Space Jam movie a little bit. There's still a possibility it could be fake, but either way, that's where we're sitting. We're going to bump up from 70 to 75% likelihood that we will be seeing a WB Multiverses fighting style video game. Our next rumor is one that I find rather interesting, and I actually kind of hope that it actually comes true. That is Darth Maul there's a new rumor about Darth Maul, and he is going to be getting his own Disney Plus series again in this rumor, but this time it's a little bit different. What with all of the questionable things that happened with Ray Park about a year and a half, 2 years ago, on his social medias, whether or not they were on purpose or by accident or he got hacked or whatever, kind of irrelevant. It's not good for the optics. So, according to this rumor, because of that, they are changing the plan from doing a live-action Darth Maul series that potentially could have been a sequel to Solo. Now they're going to be doing an animated series that is going to be a prequel to Solo. So, there is a comic book series, rather, currently happening that they could draw very heavily from. There is the deep lore dealing with this character. This is a great idea. This is not a great source, so we can't give it too high. Honestly, 50% is as high as I can justify, even though I want it to be much more likely. That's where we're sitting with Darth Maul, the animated series. Next, we have another revisited rumor. This time it is the Donkey Kong rumor. Remember, Mario is getting his own movie from Illumination Studios very soon, 2022. And then following that, we got plenty of rumors that dealt with other Nintendo characters getting their own movies. And the last rumor that we talked about here was that Donkey Kong was going to be getting his own movie, but it was not going to be starring Seth Rogen, and it was not going to be produced by Illumination Studios, the same studio that brought you Minions and so on and so forth. So this new rumor has kind of a similar vibe, but it does say that it will be an Illumination Studios movie, and Seth Rogen will also be the voice of the character, which that makes more sense to me. There is more reason to believe a rumor like this, especially when you consider the fact that they also cast Cranky Kong for the Mario movie, and I believe there are a couple of other Donkey Kong potential crossover characters in that cast as well. So you're not really starting a new thing from scratch. This is going on something that Nintendo's kind of already banking on. So if Mario does well, Donkey Kong will have to do well as well, because some of the most beloved IPs in the world between those two characters. So likelihood that this is a thing, I'm taking this one all the way up to 75%. There's very little wiggle room for this to not happen at this point. Our final set of rumors have to do with Moon Knight. So Moon Knight, the first rumor is that Ethan Hawke, whose character we do not know yet because they're keeping it under tight wrap, it's rumored that he is going to be playing Dracula for the show. And then we also have a rumor that Blade is going to be making some sort of appearance in the show as well. Well, if Dracula is in there, then it only stands to reason that Blade would be there. But I don't think these two rumors are necessarily connected. We do know that Blade is a character that does make appearances in the Moon Knight comics, so that definitely stands to reason. Mahershala Ali is going to be awesome as Blade, so that stands to reason. I think we're going to be putting the Blade side of this at about 60% likelihood, just because it's kind of a weak source. And then also the Ethan Hawke side of this, there's really nothing for or against that. We do know Ethan Hawke is going to be in it. We do know that they're keeping his role under tight seal, so about 50% likelihood that he's going to be playing Dracula. I feel like there are better choices to put as the main villain for the Moon Knight series. If they want to go with Dracula, I can see how that would work too, and that would honestly make other things work better. So again, no real reason for or against that one. That, though, is the end of the Rumor Mill, nerds, so thank you very much for sticking around for the Rumor Mill. That is also the end of the episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper in the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.com. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here, do all of the things. Find me on the social medias, and do throw a follow my way there as well. If you like the episode, definitely click the thumbs up. Also to Tambien as well. OC, other languages. If you're falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, you can click or tap one of the boxes showing up right there to the left of my face, or to the right as you're looking at me, I guess. And yeah, do all of the stuff and all the things. I appreciate your faces, nerds. We will see you next week. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.